Hello friends, welcome. In this video, we'll be discussing the accuracy of eyewitness memory. The accuracy of eyewitness memory has been a highly debatable topic in the history of psychology as well as in the jurisprudence or the judicial system or the legal system. Why the accuracy of eyewitness memory has been a highly debatable issue in the history of psychology and jurisprudence, or you call it as a legal system or judicial system. Because most of the time it is inaccurate, incomplete, or erroneous. The dynamism that is associated with the memory is the basic reason why inaccurate recall and interestingly the false memories, they remain for longer period of time, and it become easier for the individual to recall the false memories accurately. This phenomena, that why people are more proficient in recalling the false memories accurately, led the researchers to examine the phenomena of eyewitness memory in greater detail. The evidences that come out from the research suggest that it is difficult to recall the exact events, almost impossible to describe the exact scene, what has been observed or the heard by the witness, due to the inherent natural deficiencies or the nature of the memory. And you know, the memory is the part of cognitive domain, and cognitive domain of the human being is highly volatile and fallible. Due to that reason, there is a chances that distortion occurs in the eyewitness memory. The one of the probable reasons for the inaccuracy in the eyewitness memory is the processing of the information. Schechter, in his findings, elaborated that when the information is not adequately processed or there is a shallow processing of the information, that time the storage is not as accurate as expected, and that is bound to influence the subsequent recall. So, processing within our cognitive system of the information is one of the contributing factors for distortion in the eyewitness memory. So, now, what are the factors that affect the eyewitness memory? First one, stereotypes and prejudice. You know, the stereotypes can be either positive or negative, and generally it's a kind of preconceived ideas about a community or a specific group of people. Considering this point, Alport demonstrated that our prejudices also distort our memory, because the information what we receive through our senses, when it gets processed in the brain, already held information regarding that particular group or specific group of people, that already held information in the forms of the stereotype interfere with the incoming information, and the storing itself, the information is not as accurate as the information has been perceived. Banaji and Bhaskar demonstrated that this phenomena distorts the memory. For example, when we show the names of the criminals to the participants in the experimental conditions, that time the names carry a specific cultural connotation. The names suggest that individual comes from which culture. When the experimenter offer these names to the subjects, the participants already held belief system or the stereotypes in their brain that interfered with the connotation of the name, and finally when the output was analyzed, it was found that the previous held information in the form of prejudice or the stereotypes influence the memory. Then the situational factors. The studies carried out by the Clifford and Hollins in 1981, they showed that when the number of perpetrators, when the number of criminals in the crime scene are higher, the recall of the information is adversely affected. This means the accuracy can be as low as 27%. Then the recall of repressed memories, the memories which has been repressed in our cognitive system, that is unconscious mind. It says that the memories of sexual assault or physical abuse are generally get repressed in our mind. So these information, when individual recalls, are bound to have high level of inaccuracy. There's a famous incident in the life of Jean Piaget, the Swiss psychologist. In his life, there is an incident that Jean Piaget was abducted in his childhood, but later his nanny explained that it was a concocted story. Some very interesting phenomena means the memories which are generally related to the physical abuse or some sexual assault or some childhood problems, that memories are repressed in our unconscious brain, and that leads to the distortion when the memories or the information is recalled. Apart from that, the distortion of actual events and suggestive questioning can sometimes lead to the creation of the false memories. Then the most important factor that influence the accuracy of eyewitness memory is the factors related to the eyewitness. Some of them are the gender or the sex of the witness, whether the individual was male, female, or transgender. Then age. Why age matters? Because children and adolescents eyewitness testimony is more susceptible to distortion than adults due to intellectual deficiency or lack of intellectual experience. Intelligence also influence the accuracy of the eyewitness memory. The personality type, the face recognition skills of the individual or the witness, the biophysiological state at that time when the information was observed, such as whether the individual was under some kind of intoxication or under the influence of some kind of substance. Intoxication reduces the accuracy of the recall. Then mood. The recall of the information will be best when the mood is same as when the individual has learned the information for the first time. This means when the mood of the individual is almost similar to the situation when the individual first observed the information, in that case the recall will be better and the accuracy will be better. Then the level of the stress during the questioning and during the observation of the event or the criminal activity. If the individual was highly under distress during the observing or perceiving the crime scene, that time it's probable that the individual fails to observe the minute details and all comprehensive details regarding the crime scene, and that information may not get encoded or processed, and subsequently that influences the accuracy of recall. Then temperament, psychophysiological disability, the state of consciousness, whether the individual was fully conscious during the observation, then emotional response, how individual responded emotionally to the crime scene, the nature of the immediate response, criminal activity, or the loss of sleep, or the imagination capacity, etc., etc. This means the highest number of factors are related to the individual who has been witness to the crime and the criminal activity. Then time. Time is an important factor. Various studies suggested that higher the time gap between the observation and the recall, the chances of distortion is also higher. This means the accuracy will be relatively lesser. Then hypnosis and eyewitness memory. The hypnosis has been used to regress an individual into the past. The individual can go to the his or her past unconsciously. The technique of hypnosis for recalling the information related to a crime scene has been a debatable issue, and more research is required to establish the hypnosis as a credible technique for using it in eyewitness memory. However, there is a very interesting incident in the history of United States. In 1976, and a kidnapper kidnapped children, and the bus driver was unable to recall the number plate of the vehicle of the kidnappers. Later, when the bus driver was hypnotized, in the hypnosis stage, the driver was able to recall the number plate, and this helped in greater detail in arresting the kidnapper. However, hypnosis has potentiality to increase the accuracy of eyewitness memory provided it is used by the experts. Then the next important factor is the biased, suggestive and inaccurate style of questioning. If the questioning is biased one, if the questioning is suggestive one, if the questioning is inappropriate, the questioning can be by the defense lawyer, by the jury, by the investigating agencies. Certainly, it is liable to influence the accuracy of eyewitness memory. The questioning has to be accurate one. The questioning has to be purely related to the crime scene which is being investigated. And the individual has to be at ease while being questioned, because when individual is at ease, mood is okay, feels secure and have a perceived security that agencies will not divulge his details to the criminals or to the general public. This sense of confidence, this sense of security, this sense of safety helps in accuracy of eyewitness memory. Then the next factor is the misinformation effect. The name itself is suggestive one. The manipulated post-event information is supplied to the witness. It creates a kind of a confusion or the cognitive confusion in the mind of the witness, who tends to include that misinformation in his accounts. That misinformation that has been supplied, that significantly influences the recall. Several studies, it has been found that if the post-event information is consistent with the original event, then the accuracy can be as high as 75%. If the information is inconsistent with the original information or the original event, then the accuracy can be 41%. And if the information is neutral one, neither the misinformation nor the exact information as it was being observed, then the accuracy can be 50%. These are the indicators where the accuracy of the recall is influenced by the misinformation. Then the source monitoring error. It means it occurs when a person attributes a memory derived from one source to the another source. Suppose an individual observed a crime scene, and during that crime scene observed a particular kind of a weapon. This means that weapon was used for some criminal activities. While recalling, individual can attribute the crime to different weapon which has been in his or her mind due to several reasons. So that is a kind of misattribution error, and that regularly happens in the eyewitness memory. Then false reporting. If the witness is forced by the either investigating agencies, defense lawyer, or some social media, family members, or society, someone else, somewhere else. Then comes the forced reporting. If the witness who are coerced or forced to report an event, in that case, the accuracy of event related information is highly compromised. So the witness are never to be forced for divulging the details. The environment must be supportive one, so that individual feels comfortable in that and can recall the information as accurate as possible. Then other race effects. This is a very interesting phenomenon. The people find it harder to identify people of other races, compromising the accuracy of eyewitness memory, because individual is not used to the facial features of the that particular individual where he or she has to identify. This also comes under the personal attributes that affect the accuracy of the eyewitness memory of the witness. Then exposure time, exposure to the criminal activity or the violence act. If the exposure time is larger, if the individual is exposed to the criminal activity for a longer period of time, then the accuracy can be higher, because individual gets sufficient time to observe the phenomena or the major events that has been occurred in the criminal scene, and the witness has sufficient time to process the information and subsequently store the information in his or her memory, and that helps in increased accuracy of recall. And the last factor is the fear or stress. If the individual is under distress or is highly fearful of the crime scene, in that case, there is a very less chances that the memory will be accurate during the recall, because under the distress or fearful condition, the processing of the information is almost stopped in the cognitive system of the individual. If the information is neither encoded nor the processed, certainly it is not going to store in the memory, and if information is not stored, then the recall is almost impossible, or if the individual is forced to recall the event, certainly that information will be manipulated one or the false one. And now I will discuss some miscarriage cases of justice in India, where the eyewitness memory has played the spoil short. Gopal Shetty case, a hotel manager in Mumbai who was arrested and subsequently convicted for a rape which he has never committed in 2009, and after serving 7 years of jail, he was released. The life of that Gopal has been destroyed. Prior to the arrest, he was earning a handsome amount and had a good reputation. Everything was destroyed in a fraction of seconds. Then Madhubala Mandal case, a 59-year-old woman from the Assam was arrested and kept in jail for 3 years. See, 59 years, in the twilight years of the life, where the woman was arrested and later released. So funny, life of the individual has been destroyed. And very shocking case of Vishnu Tiwari, who was arrested in a rape and SC/ST act when he was just 23-year-old. A young man, after serving 20 years in a jail, he was released, and the court pronounced that he was innocent. During this period, the parents of Vishnu died. His life was ruined. Is there any remedy in the law that the lost 20 years, the most productive years of the individual can be regained. The court, the judicial system, academicians, the policy makers, and the psychologists must look this case while considering the eyewitness memory. We don't want to see more Vishnu Tiwaris in India. Then very shocking case of Rudul Shah in 1983, a poor man who was arrested in 1953 on charges of murdering his wife. But later he was acquitted by an additional session judge. He was free from the accusations in 1968. He didn't committed the murder of his wife. But he languished in the jail for 14 more years because the administrative system, the rotten judicial system fails to pass an order of his release. The poor man Rudul Shah was in jail for no fault of his for 14 years, when later the PIL was filed in the court and he was subsequently released. Such is the phenomena of our judicial system. There are more cases. If you read the cases, you will have goosebumps on your body. Because if the prime time of an individual is being destroyed in a prison behind the bars, can anyone return their years to individual? Can the court, can the learned juries, so-called learned judges, can return the lost time? So it's my humble request that eyewitness memory must be examined in greater detail prior to using it for convincing, for convicting, or pronouncing a judgment. So, dear friends, these are my references. If you want to study more about the accuracy or the eyewitness memory, you can refer them. Our next discussion will be improving eyewitness memory. Dear friends, as far as my presentation style and the contents of this video is concerned, if you like them, tell to others. But if you have some issues, you want to make some comment, or you have some critical point to share with me, kindly drop a comment in my comment box, or you can email me at varmasujit@yahoo.com. Thank you friends for watching.